BBOR, Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. BlackBoxNed88 on Instagram for the bonus podcast. And just a quick reminder, every Monday is Zodiac Mondays. Wednesday is an Ask Me Anything. That's an AMA, so please drop your questions below for things that you would like discussed here on the show. And Friday is an Anything Goes. Any subject is fair game, mostly talking about true crime, serial killers, the Zodiac Killer, but any subject is welcome. All right, so please share some ideas in the comment section about what you would like to hear about on this channel, and let's get started. Alright, hello everybody. Today is Monday, another Zodiac Monday. Welcome to the show. First, I would like to begin by giving a shout out to YouTube user Chris GP, who said, "Ned, good to see you. I was wondering about the Sacramento Freeway murders in 1986. Is there a possibility they are Zodiac related?" And thank you, Chris, for the suggestion. Also, I think at least two other people over the last 6 months have requested something about the Sacramento Freeway murders, and this is a topic that was requested by one of the listeners. If anybody has something that they would like covered on the channel, or there's something that you would like to hear an episode about, you can put your idea in the comments section below. You can also send things to BlackBoxOnlineRadio at AOL.com, or the DMs on Instagram, BlackBoxNed88, and there is even a Facebook page, and that is in the description box there, as well as the email address. Many ways to share your ideas, but the easiest one is to just put it right in the comments section below. So today we're going back to 1986 to talk about the Sacramento Freeway murders. And yes, I did mention some things about this on the most recent AMA. Please drop your questions and comments for Wednesday's Ask Me Anything. But I thought that this really deserved a full episode. So I would like to begin with a post that has been written on ZodiacKillersite.com that will help us introduce the 1986 Sacramento Freeway murders. And this one was written by UK Spycatcher. Today we're going to be talking about the murders of Khoi In Se Chow and Choi Phao Sa Lee. They were from the nation of Laos, actually. They were traveling back on a 2.5-hour journey to their residence on Dorman Road in Yuba City, California, after visiting their son in a Merced, California hospital situated in the San Joaquin Valley of Northern California. They were only 45 minutes from home when it is believed that they opted to take a rest on the roadside near the interchange of Highway 99 and I-5 near Sacramento, and unfortunately for them, a merciless killer was in the vicinity. How the killer approached is open to discussion, but the assailant unleashed a barrage of gunfire into their car, blowing in both the front and side windows. Testimony to this was the 15 small caliber shell casings scattered and retrieved from around the car. The couple suffered multiple gunshots to the head. What is interesting about this crime, however, is the disputed 1986 letter supposedly mailed by the Zodiac Killer with a postmark dated May 6th. The author of this letter uses the word slaves. In other words, more than one victim. The couple were shot multiple times while seated in their car, blowing in fronts and side windows, and very similar to the attack at Blue Rock Springs on July 4th of 1969, and not dissimilar to the attack 7 months prior when he ambushed David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen at Lake Herman Road, both with a small caliber fire, as I think it means firearm. As the attack was on the side of a highway, it is likely that the killer parked behind the car before the mounted and surprised them in an attack, although this is unsubstantiated. They were murdered near Sacramento, as the letter alludes, by a freeway, but the most interesting aspect of all is the author states, "I want you to know about my latest slaves that I have collected about 2 weeks ago." So in this episode, very clearly, we will be going through two major subjects. The first is we will discuss some facts surrounding this double homicide that took place on the Sacramento Freeway. And the second is we will look at the 1986 letter and decide, was this genuine Zodiac activity or not? Because there are two questions that are going to be connected to both of these subjects. The first is, did the Zodiac killer commit these murders? And the second is, did the Zodiac write the letter? Because both of these do not have to go hand in hand. One could be true and the other could be false. More particularly, if that were the case, people would think that, was this the Zodiac killer writing a letter, an authentic letter, taking credit for a murder that he did not commit? Because, let's face it, throughout some moment in the Zodiac killer mystery, the Zodiac killer told lies. He told things that were not true. He said the 408 cipher was going to reveal his identity, or even anything about the ciphers revealing his identity. The 340 also doesn't appear to have anything to do with the Zodiac killer's identity. He did not tell the truth all the time. Or in other cases, he spoke in some very vague statements, and things were not always clear. But let's read the 1986 letter that is going to be allegedly talking about the murders of Koyin Seichao and Choi Fao Sali. And it begins by saying that, this is the Zodiac speaking. I am still out here and crack-proof. I want you to know about my latest slaves that I have collected about 2 weeks ago by Sacramento, California. I will give you clue to help you with the mystery. They were killed by a freeway. The blue meanies almost caught me. The body count is growing now, 100 plus, all over the state of California and NA. And really it says the state of CA and NA. And I will share something very important about that NA because I think that instantly we're thinking of the state of Nevada, right? But the abbreviation for Nevada is NV. I even had to double check on that because, well, I'm a West Virginian, WV, and I don't really go out to the West too much. But I was like, yeah, I was 99% sure that the abbreviation for Nevada was NV, which it is, but then this person wrote NA. Now, there might be something to that I will save for later on in the episode. Now, when I first looked at this letter, I thought that if this is a forgery, it is a pretty damn good one, because it has very similar handwriting to the Zodiac Killer. It also has misspellings. The word speaking appears to be spelled with 2 E's, and I just said the abbreviation for Nevada is misspelled. Also, some of the other things that the Zodiac Killer was known to do, crossing out certain words, and then writing in a more correct version of a word or some type of alteration that had a precise meaning. And we'll also go through some examples of that. But one thing that is quite unique about this, or maybe it's not unique, but just I think it's rather interesting, is it says 2 weeks ago up by Sacramento, but the word weeks is written right above the word ago. So I think that the handwriting does seem to be similar at first. The tilt to the right is very forced. But notice that the Zodiac Killer would often sign off these letters with a symbol, the Zodiac symbol, and then there would be a number, maybe even the number 37 or something like that. This one says -100 plus. I'm going to make a very bold proclamation, a very bold prediction, a very bold hypothesis, and that is that the Zodiac Killer did not kill 100 people. Even if this is saying that the body count is over 100, I don't know who the Zodiac Killer was, but I would almost bet my life on it. Maybe more like, not even 99%. Let's scale down to 98% for security. 98% chance that the Zodiac Killer did not murder 100 people. Because 1968, or I'll even give you 1966 with the murder of Sherry Jo Bates. If we start in 1966 to 1986, make it an even 20 years. It is horribly abnormal for serial killers to murder 100 people in a 20-year time frame. I'll even let you go back to 1957 or 1946, some of the earlier unconfirmed Zodiac incidents or murders that have been attributed to a Zodiac killer suspect and so on. 1946, of course, being the Texarkana Moonlight murders. It's just very abnormal. I mean, what we find with serial killers is perhaps in a 12-year time frame, it's very normal for somebody to have murdered 8 victims, 10 victims, 12 victims, maybe somebody like John Wayne Gacy, who had murdered 33 victims. And then, of course, you're going to have somebody like Samuel Little, who had a much higher body count. His neared 100, but he more preyed on almost exclusively female victims. And in short, I just do not believe that murders that were committed in the Zodiac's MO pattern, anything related to the way that the Zodiac stalked the victims in these types of non-sexual thrill kills, I don't think the Zodiac killer murdered 100 people. So that is the first thing that I noticed there. That seems to be an exaggeration. Also, I do say, though, this 1986 letter does contain some esoteric Zodiac hallmarks. It's not only the slaves, but also the term blue meanies is used. The blue meanies almost caught me. And then I'm saying crack proof. As I said, if this is a forgery, it is very, very well planned and well thought out. But a lot of people believe that everything after the 1974 Exorcist letter is simply just unconfirmed Zodiac activity, or it's unauthentic Zodiac activity. It wasn't the real Zodiac killer. I'm a little bit undecided about that. I can definitely say that I don't believe it 100%, and in this instance, I would also want to share that I don't believe 100% that that this is genuine Zodiac activity. To talk about the murders of Koyan Se-chow and Choi Fao-sali, one detail that I would like to mention is they're driving down the freeway, right? And then they pull over to the side of the road. In America, we drive on the right side of the road, not the wrong side like my brothers and sisters across the pond. But they're driving down the right side of the road. They pulled over onto the shoulder of the road. And then the perpetrator came by and ambushed them, more or less. But they're on the shoulder of this freeway, and most people simply believe that they had been on the road for a long time, and they just wanted to take a rest for a while. It's absolutely tragic, though, if they were visiting their son in the hospital, and this is what happens on the way back. But they were 45 minutes away from their home, so close as well. It's just an absolute tragedy. But the big thing that I wanted to point out is, at Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs, it is highly likely that the Zodiac killer approached the passenger side door of the car first. I mean, almost certainly at Blue Rock Springs, because we have Mike Mageau's testimony. And if you want to follow along with the podcast Zodiac Speaking, which is hosted by Mike Morford and Richard Grinnell, I'm subscribed to that one. I highly recommend you listen to it and subscribe to it as well. They talk about that some details about the shooting at Blue Rock Springs, but you have the perpetrator approaching the passenger side first. For the longest time, I thought that when I heard that Mike Mageau was shot first, I thought that he was in the driver's seat. It would make sense, right? You approach the driver's side and then you shoot the driver first, but this person approached the passenger side at Blue Rock Springs and started firing, and perhaps some bullets went across Mike Mageau and then struck Darlene Ferrin first, going through her arm, and then Mike Mageau was more or less sprayed with bullets. And that is another similarity between the freeway murders that we're discussing today and Blue Rock Springs. The victims were more or less sprayed with bullets. With Lake Herman Road, there appears to be a few more differences, but I have shared with you that graphic from the Stones Unturned podcast, which has since been renamed, or just divided into 2 different shows, that just puts forward a very strong hypothesis that the passenger side was approached first. Now, it's always possible at Lake Herman Road, because there were no witnesses, that there could have been 2 shooters, or maybe the killer did walk around and shoot David Faraday first. I mean, anything's possible, right? but if you would have somebody exiting the passenger side door at Lake Herman Road and then firing toward Betty Lou Jensen, who would have been in the passenger seat of David Faraday's car, that is plausible to me. I mean, in that reenactment, I mean, I actually lean toward the high possibility of two shooters at Lake Herman Road, but I don't want to discuss that crime. I'd rather talk about the freeway murders here, and just emphasize that it appears that the driver's side may have been shot first at the freeway murders in Sacramento. Now, is that really what happened? I think that there's a high possibility, because here's something that is rarely talked about. If you do look at the graphic, though, at Lake Herman Road, a big reason why the Zodiac Killer perhaps didn't park next to David Faraday and then just shoot David Faraday, is because David Faraday's car was so close to the main road in the little parking lot at Lake Herman Road that there just wasn't any room to park a car there, so he had to park on the passenger side, which would have faced Betty Lou Jensen. And then, in terms of practicality, during the Sacramento Freeway murders, they're on the shoulder, the right side of the road, so in terms of practicality, it would make more sense to approach the driver's side first. And a lot of people do believe that the Zodiac Killer was just a very methodical person, and also practical, and not going to read into too many details like that. That is just something that I thought was quite different. But we do see that at Blue Rock Springs and Lake Herman Road, there do appear to be some differences. Now, if you do ever get a chance, you can go over to ZodiacCyphers.com, and that has been all over the Sacramento Freeway murders. There are numerous articles. They're a little bit difficult to find, but I think the one that was talking about the 1986 letter, that's one way that you can search for it on ZodiacCyphers.com, was very valuable. And this also shares some hallmarks of the Zodiac Killer, but I would actually just like to read some of the of this article that was written here on Zodiac Ciphers. In the aftermath of the double murder of Koi In Se Chow and Choi Fao Sa Lee on April 22nd, 1986, a hitchhiker reported to law enforcement of an accident on Highway 99. This case is not only interesting because of the May 6, 1986 Zodiac letter, but because it mirrored almost exactly the murder and attempted murder of Mike Mageau that took place on Blue Rock Springs on July 4th, 1969. It also could have mirrored the prelude to the questionable Kathleen Johns incident on March 22nd of 1970, in that Koi In Se Chow and Choi Fao Sa Lee may have been ushered to the side of the highway before their murder. That's something that I haven't exactly talked about here. I mean, as I said, it is a widely accepted thing, or a widely held belief, that they just pulled over to the side of the road because it was a very long drive, and we're talking about maybe 3 hours each way. In some sources it says around 2.5 hours to get to this hospital where they're going for the visit, and they just wanted to pull over and rest. But there is always that possibility that it could have been like the Kathleen Johns incident. That is very famous, of course, but in that one, the person is ushering her to the side of the road, as it's been written here on Zodiac Ciphers, saying, "Hey, your wheel looks loose, you need to pull over." Now, is that really what happened? And, I mean, it's not completely abnormal that someone 48 and 40 are going to pull over and take a quick rest or something like that. So, I haven't, without witnesses, I don't think we could ever possibly know. But did somebody say that, hey, you need to pull over? And Kathleen Johns, though, did have a baby with her, and here we, though, have two adults. But let's look at this hitchhiker. The case for the hitchhiker being the murderer was considered on the basis of the line, "They were killed by a freeway, the blue meanies almost caught me." The idea that the hitchhiker reported the murders as an accident in a cat-and-mouse game with the authorities, but how can we determine whether or not the hitchhiker was the author of the 1986 letter, or possibly the Zodiac Killer? The link between the 1986, 87, and 69 Zodiac communications strongly suggests one author is responsible for all 5 letters. However, this doesn't tell us whether the hitchhiker was a concerned citizen performing his civic duty, or somebody toying with the police who failed to provide any details about himself. Now, that's some damning stuff there. I mean, that's a big piece of evidence. The blue meanies almost caught me, and then you have this hitchhiker talking to law enforcement saying, hey, there's an accident up there. But what I said on the AMA last week is, where is the mega piece of damning evidence, the enormous piece of damning evidence? Where is the piece of the victim's shirt? Where is, I will state some facts that only I and the police know that the Zodiac had done in the murders that took place in 68 and 69. Really, that's just 1969 when those communications are going out. Where's that stuff in the Sacramento Freeway murders? And I'm not going to hide the fact I thought it was really pathetic when someone's like, I'll clue you in. They were killed by a freeway. It's like when the Zodiac Killer was talking about, oh, you've stumbled upon my Riverside work, but you're only getting the easy ones. There are a hell of a lot more down there. That is so vague. And also, when I was reading up on the Sacramento Freeway murders, there were so many other murders that took place on Sacramento freeways. A lot of the search results were dedicated to the I-5 Strangler. So, and I don't think that this person was simply the person who wrote the 1986 letter was just grabbing at straws and taking a chance or something. But how about somebody who could have learned about this from the newspapers? I mean, it's possible, and it doesn't mean that it wasn't the actual Zodiac Killer that wrote the letter, because as we said, the Zodiac Killer was very braggadocious. The Zodiac Killer liked to show off. The Zodiac liked to say things that weren't true because it creates the air of horrifying nature. The air of terror was what I didn't want to say. Why didn't I just say air of horror? Yeah, that's what it creates. The air of horror that is going around, that this maniac is loose. But I did disagree with the people who thought that the Zodiac Killer and Jack the Ripper functioned in the exact same way, because it's all about the correspondences and getting material in the paper, and it's all about the letters. I disagreed with that because I said with Jack the Ripper, it appears that it's mostly about mutilations. And if you want to hear more about that, you can hear the episode The Zodiac Killer versus Jack the Ripper. I also have one on the murder of Long Liz Stride, one of the possible victims of the Ripper. But I mean, Jack the Ripper was a Ripper. It's more about the gruesome and horrific things that are done to the bodies post-mortem. With the Zodiac Killer, it does appear that that is true, that the Zodiac is a type of media whore, for lack of a better term, and I don't think I need to be polite to this murderous scumbag, but the Zodiac wants to be mentioned in the papers. The Zodiac wants the police to be on the lookout. It's this type of psychological cat and mouse game. You almost caught me, but you didn't. But in reality, this could be just somebody who has gained material some way, somehow, 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after the shooting occurred. But one more thing I would like to share from this Zodiac Ciphers article is the Sacramento Bee ran an article. Two victims, Choi Chao Sully and Koi In Se Chow, were found dead in their car by a hitchhiker at about 6:30 a.m. Sometime later, the hitchhiker reported what had been seen to the authorities in Marysville. Marysville, the police department, is 67 miles north of the crime scene, and 18 miles further north is Nicholas along California State Route 70. The Sacramento Bee ran a much more comprehensive article and wrote, police discovered the bodies sitting upright in the front seat of a Mercury after a hitchhiker told a Chico, California Highway Patrol officer he had witnessed a car wreck at the freeway interchange. Sergeant Bob Burns said Chico was 90 miles north of the crime scene, a 90-minute car journey, and 49 miles from Maryville. Okay, so that just gives us some more context about these murders that took place. Now, I got over on Tappa Talk, which I didn't learn was a thing until last year. I had no idea what this Tappa Talk thing was, but somebody whose name is Mike, I'm not sure which Mike it is, there are several famous people who follow the Zodiac Killer mystery named Mike, or it might have just been a commenter from the general public, but they said something very interesting about the Zodiac's letters. And if you look at the 1986 letter, it begins with, "This is the Zodiac speaking." and then the letter I. And the claim that was put forward in Mike's letter is, well, I mean, like, I shouldn't say Mike's letter. The claim that was put forward in Mike's comment, rather, is that when the Z wrote a letter, he wrote, "This is the Zodiac speaking," and never put anything on the first line other than those words. The only letter that deviates from that pattern is the 1978 forgery. Maybe this letter was based on that forgery. So the first thing I did, of course, was I pulled up the 1978 letter, and I could see very clearly that, well, that is, the first part is true, that is something that is consistent, that the Zodiac Killer did use that type of way of introducing it, but let's just read the 1978 letter in its entirety. Dear Editor, this is the Zodiac speaking. I am back with you. Tell Herb Kane I am here. I've always been here. That city pig Toski is good, but I am, smarter and better. He will get tired and then leave me alone. I am waiting for a good movie about me. Who will play me? I am now in control of all things. Yours truly. And then the Zodiac says, guess, SFPD 0. So, first, to answer the question, I'm waiting for a good movie about me. Who will play me? How about John Carroll Lynch? Why not? Now, that has the format that Mike told us to look for. This is the Zodiac speaking I. Now, I went through some of the other Zodiac Killer letters, really just the, if he said that those are the only two that deviate from the pattern, it should be all of them. And the first one I pulled up was the one that contained the Z13 cipher, and it said, "This is the Zodiac speaking. By the way, have you cracked the last cipher I sent you? My name is blank." And then there are the 13 symbols of the Z13. And I was like, oh my goodness, maybe Mike is onto something. However, I decided to keep looking at the Zodiac Killer letters, and I got to the Melvin Belli letter, which says very clearly, "This is the Zodiac speaking. I wish you a happy Christmas." Christmas is misspelled Christmas, and the letter I is on in the line the same way that the 1978 letter is, the same way that the 1986 letter is. So it appears that is just simply not true. And if you don't accept that one, then how about the first Zodiac Killer letter, which doesn't even say this is the Zodiac speaking? It says, "Dear Editor, this is the murderer of the two teenagers last Christ Mass at Lake Herman and the girl on the 4th of July near the golf course in Vallejo. To prove I killed them, I shall state some facts which only I and the police know. Christ Mass. 1. The brand of ammo was Super X. 2. 10 shots were fired. 3. The boy was on his back with his feet to the car. 4. The girl was on her right side with her feet to the west. On the 4th of July, the girl was wearing patterned slacks. The boy was shot in the knee, and the brand of ammo was Western." The letter that was mailed in 1986 contains none of this stuff. Where are these types of facts saying, "I'll give you a hint, it's by a freeway"? That's why I was like, that is so lame. Where is the stuff here that, these specific details, the brand of ammo, how many shots were fired, what were the victims, like what position were the victims when the killer left? That leads me to think that, that the murder was definitely not Zodiac activity, but the Zodiac didn't always leave these types of, very well detailed things in the letters, because after the Lake Berryessa stabbing on September 27th of 1969, the only time the Zodiac Killer went out in the hood that had the Zodiac symbol on it, that wasn't really reported in the letters the same way. The Zodiac did write a message on the car door that had the dates of activity, the word Vallejo, and the Zodiac symbol, and it says "by knife." But in reality, the Zodiac Killer didn't talk about that one a lot in the letters. But I would even just use this as an example of the first letter doesn't say "this is the Zodiac speaking" on the first line, and the Melvin Belli letter also does not as well. Now, I know some people will not want to hear this, but there's this book out there called The Myth of the Zodiac Killer, and it says one theory about the 1978 letter as well as the Melvin Belli letter, and that is that at that point in the Zodiac timeline, there was a different letter writer. because there are multiple active participants that are trying to make the general public think that there was one person killing all these people, but in reality, it's a series of unconnected murders, and the person who has been accused of writing the Melvin Belli letter and the 1978 letter is none other than Robert Graysmith. He is viewed as an active participant in the Zodiac Killer hoax theory. Another suspect for writing the 1978 letter is none other than the person who was mentioned in it, Dave Toschi. Toschi's good, right? Yeah, okay, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that makes me suspicious. Some people heavily dispute this with me, but some way, somehow, I simply do not believe that the Melvin Belli letter was an authentic Zodiac communication, meaning that even if you're going to accept that there was a there was a single perpetrator, that one person committed all of the murders, I just cannot get over the fact that the handwriting is so different, and to explain how this could be something that is authentic yet still not done by the killer, an active participant could have written it. I mean, someone with much neater penmanship, although once you look at some of the later words, like at the end of the Melvin Belli letter, it appears that the person's handwriting is starting to resemble the Zodiac's a little bit more. One point, though, that I have said before on the channel, but I'll repeat it again, I am almost absolutely certain, though, that whoever wrote the Melvin Belli letter also wrote the Phillips Petroleum map, and the words that are written on the Phillips Petroleum map, 0 is to be set to magnetic north, and so on, because that handwriting appears to be identical to me. So, it could be that someone is just making a stronger attempt to be neater with their handwriting because they want Melvin Belli to read this, and maybe it could also be someone's trying to disguise their handwriting by being neater as opposed to having that odd tilt to the right, and the sloppiness that is seen on many of the other Zodiac letters. But I think that is just something to really remember. Like, to recap, the big points are that the Zodiac, or whoever wrote the letter in 1986, did not use any of the specific details that the Zodiac included in that first communication. There's also no piece of physical evidence mailed in that would connect the writer of that letter to the crime scene, like a piece of anyone's bloody shirt. And the third one is that the person is being very vague in the letter, saying it occurred by a freeway. But I do confess that the handwriting is very similar, and it does appear to have esoteric Zodiac language. Now, to go on to the next part here, it is important to know that somebody living in Texas did confess to committing the murders of these two victims on the Sacramento Freeway in 1986. And to help us out with that one, I'm going to go over to an article from The Appeal that details this here. And it says, parolee says he killed Yuba County couple. Transient confesses to 1986 slayings and other murders. And one more time, this is from The Appeal, a publication that I had not heard of before. A California parolee arrested in Texas confessed to killing a Yuba County couple nearly 15 years ago, and this was published in 2001, so that is 1986. Devin Stewart Olson, age 42, provided details about the April 22nd, 1986 shootings of Koyin Seichow, age 48, and Joyfal Salih, age 40, said Sacramento Police Lieutenant Sam Summers. It is an unsolved case, and it is open, said Summers. If this is the guy, we can get some closure to this particular case. Right now, we don't have anything other than we're following up on the information that was supplied to us from the Texas authorities. Asked why, Olson confessed, and Summers suggested, there must be something in Texas that he wants, or he's cleansing his soul, or he wants notoriety. Now, somebody asked me that question during the AMA, why do people confess to murders that they did not commit if, and it's a big if this guy, Devin Stewart Olson, did not commit the murders on the Sacramento Freeway in 1986, well, why would he confess to it? Now, some people think that is a way of interfering with the legal process, or it can delay certain more severe penalties. I don't want to misstate something, but also some people think that maybe they'll get rewards. Or some people, I mean, you heard this line about notoriety here. Maybe he wants the notoriety to be interviewed, to just do anything to break the monotony of prison life. But yes, people do confess to crimes that they did not commit. Sacramento detectives are now in the veracity mode, Summers said, trying to confirm if Olson knows the details of the killing that were not publicized. Seychow and Sully, who lived on Dorman Avenue with 4 grandchildren and a grandchild, were sprayed with 15 rounds of small caliber gunfire as they sat in their car on Highway 99 and Interstate 5's intersection, where they had apparently stopped to rest. Although the Zodiac Cipher's article that we did read just now pointed out that it's possible that they may have been encouraged to pull over. Somebody might have been saying that same line that was used on Kathleen Johns. Hey, your wheel's loose, or you got a flat tire, you have something hanging off the back of your car, or you need to pull over, something as simple as that. An unidentified hitchhiker was sought for questioning in connection with the killings. The hitchhiker had flagged down a California Highway Patrol officer in East Nicholas shortly after the killings to report an auto accident where the couple was found. Seichi and Sully came from Laos in 1975 and settled in Merced. They moved to Yuba County in 1985. And thank you to the appeal here, but it really appears that this is still an unsolved case, and Devin Stewart Olson may have confessed to it, but it doesn't appear that anything went too far with that. Devin Stewart Olson was also convicted of bashing another transient in the head with a camp axe in 1992 near Portola in the eastern Sierra Nevada, and served a 3-year prison term after pleading guilty to assault with a deadly weapon. He was paroled in 1994, sent back to prison on a parole violation in 1997, and wait for it, paroled again on April 27th, 1998. Now, do you think everything's gonna go well if he's paroled in 94 and sent back to jail in 97 and then you parole him again? No. Things did not go well for Devin Stewart Olson. A warrant for his arrest was issued on May 8, 1998, after he failed to report to his parole officer. And that is simply how they gave this guy way too many free passes, and absolutely ridiculous that he was let out of jail so many times. And I mean, when is it gonna come to the point when you realize that someone's pulling the wool over your eyes and deceiving you? I mean, in jail just to get these parole violations to get sent back, then to get out of jail again and then just take flight. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that things like that happen. But I certainly don't believe that Devin Stewart Olson was the Zodiac killer. And this whole thing about bashing in a transient's head with a camp axe, the Zodiac killer definitely did not have anything like that in the canonical crimes. Even the murder of Sherry Jo Bates isn't like that. One unconfirmed Zodiac murder that does sound quite similar to that, is the murder of Vernon Smith from 1963. He was killed the day before the Domingos Edwards shooting on June 4th. Vernon Smith was murdered in the early AM hours of June 3rd, and he was killed by the Zodiac killer suspect Sandy. That seems to fit Sandy's MO, but other than that, we don't really have a whole lot to connect him to him, but he does seem like someone who is mentally unstable and definitely a criminal deviant, so did he actually commit the 1986 murders? It's really quite difficult to say. I could go either way on that one, but what I can do is make a very definitive statement. I do not believe that these two people were killed by the Zodiac Killer, because this might not be an entertaining statement, but I do believe that it's true. I don't accept any of the non-canonical crimes. I don't accept any of the Zodiac unconfirmed incidents, including the murder of Sherry Jo Bates, the Domingos Edwards shooting, the stabbing of Vernon Smith. I don't accept any of those. I don't believe any of those were Zodiac related. I'm open to new evidence. I would definitely change my mind if something was more convincing than what we have now, but I just don't believe the Zodiac Killer committed those crimes. I think there's insufficient evidence in all of them, and there's insufficient evidence to say that the Zodiac Killer had anything to do with the Sacramento Freeway murders. It's a little bit more likely that the Zodiac Killer wrote the letter, but I still have to say that if I had to make a very quick decision, yes or no right now, I would vote for no, because I just think that maybe this is someone who has put in a lot of effort to create a forgery. I might be completely wrong about that, but I did want to share one thing with you about how there are the letters CA and NA at the end of the letter, right? There is California and Nevada, but it's supposed to be NV, not NA. These are some things that also I was advised to look into because of the myth of the Zodiac Killer. If you look at the cover of that book, actually, there's serous oxalate. The Zodiac said, "I'm mildly serious as to how much money you have on my head," and that might not be a misspelling. It is a chemical term. But even before the myth of the Zodiac Killer, there's this guy named Robert Graysmith who also put forward a theory that the Zodiac Killer may have had a high knowledge of chemistry. What are Ca and Na? Calcium and sodium. I was even going to do a really bad joke. Every time I was going to read off the 1986 letter, I was going to say California and sodium, NaCl, right? Sodium chloride. So, but I decided not to do that, so I just saved it until the end. It's not funny, so I'm not going to do it again. Didn't even make me laugh. But, I mean, is that something that is meant to show that the Zodiac has a high knowledge of chemistry? And even Arthur Lee Allen did have that. That's why Graysmith pointed that out, that Arthur Lee Allen's knowledge of science and math is actually much greater than people gave him credit for, particularly chemistry, but that is quite different than some of the other mathematical signatures that are found in the Zodiac world. So that is just one more concluding note, and the final concluding note is, you might be noticing the year 1986, right? Can you think of a book that came out in 1986? How about Robert Graysmith's Zodiac? And on a lot of the discussions, in fact, the majority of the discussions that have been done by user-generated comments, people are pointing out, hey, this came out right after the publishing of the book Zodiac. So did the Zodiac Killer just want to revive his ego, or just to get back into the spotlight, or did he think it was a good time to resurface? But I need to say it one more time. I do not believe the Zodiac Killer committed this double homicide on the Sacramento Freeway. But what do you think? And do you believe the confession from Devin Stewart Olson? Do you believe that this guy in Texas, this criminal deviant, committed that crime? He did confess to it, but it doesn't appear that it has been completely attributed to him. And also, do you believe that this was genuine Zodiac activity? Do you think the Zodiac Killer wrote the 1986 letter? And please say why you have come to these conclusions. Right now, I would like to say, rest in peace to the victims. They did not deserve to lose their lives this way. But I would give a little postscript. And the final send-off is, these two victims were from Laos. They were Asian. And someone pointed out recently, or at least I learned about it recently, that the Zodiac Killer almost exclusively targeted Caucasians, white people. Is there any significance in that? And that is one of the few commonalities in the canonical Zodiac crimes. I mean, you have different ages, you have different locations, you have different methods of execution, a different MO, and numerous Zodiac crimes. But a big commonality is an automobile is almost always present, and they were all white people. And most people believe the Zodiac Killer chose the locations, not the victims. Not all. Some people believe the victims were predetermined for specific reasons. I don't think I can agree to that yet. I mean, if there was some other evidence out there. But as far as choosing to assault and murder only white people, I don't think that had any significance at all. I don't think that was relevant in any single way. I think it's just who was present at that time. It's and as for cars, well, how are people going to get out to these Lover's Lane locations, or to Lake Berryessa, or to Presidio Heights? Are they going to use the jetpack? Are they going to use the hoverboard? Are they going to use flu powder? You got to be careful with flu powder. One time I mispronounced a word with flu powder, and I ended up in a fireplace in a different part of the city. It was this really dark and weird place. Yeah, people go out and they use cars to go out. It's how they get to these secluded areas. I mean, yeah, of course you can walk or you can take a bicycle, but the easiest way to get there is by car, so that's the automobile connection. And also, if the locations were predetermined, it is irrelevant about the race of the victims. It is purely irrelevant if all it was about was the locations, and I believe the locations were significant, much more so than the racial characteristics. I just wanted to include that. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this Zodiac Mondays episode, and thank you to everyone who checked out the weekend episode on the murder of Joan Webster and the murder of Maria Iannuzzi. Much appreciated. They are two victims that have been attributed to the serial killer Leonard Paradiso. However, we are looking at some alternative theories. By we, I mean Eve Carson and myself. She's the author of the book Mommy's a Mole. We've been doing a regular weekend segment on the murder of Joan Webster and the murder of Maria Iannuzzi and other actions of Leonard Paradiso. I would invite you to listen to that if you haven't heard it yet. But that is all for me today. Okay, so anybody can write the show at BlackBoxOnlineRadio at AOL.com. You can send your questions and comments to there as well. But also, there's a Facebook page in the description box, the Teespring page, where please feel free to buy some t-shirts. It's the best way to support the show, in addition to listening to some other episodes, as well as the Instagram journal that comes out every week now. And I will see you on Instagram for the bonus podcast. Until next time.